Hey folks, welcome to another Thursday Live. Thanks for joining. Listen, today I want to get back to something really basic, okay? It came up on the call yesterday, so we do a group call every Wednesday. If you're interested in joining the group, give me a shout out. Just, try and get in touch with me and let's talk. I'm about to open registrations for August tomorrow or the next day, so let me know if you're interested in that. So on the group coaching call, what came up was basically, the beginners on the call, the sort of newbies, are asking questions basically about fat and they're concerned about cholesterol, right? So let's get into this in a little bit more detail. Well, let's start at the very beginning, okay? So in order to understand this conversation, we have to understand that there are only three macronutrients, right? There are only three macronutrients. Protein is the one that I think everyone will be able to name, and you should be able to name all of them. Protein, carbohydrates, and fats. You should know them all, okay? So now the problem we have in our modern lifestyle, the big problem, is that we have excess consumption of carbohydrates. Now, some people want to distinguish between, artificial and non-artificial carbohydrates, but your body doesn't care, right? Your body cares a little bit, so things in powders get digested more quickly, et cetera, et cetera. So maybe there's a little bit of nuance there, but a molecule of glucose, a molecule of starch, a molecule of fructose, these all look the same under a microscope, whether it's coming from an apple, whether it's coming from honey, whether it's coming from table sugar, it all looks exactly the same, okay? So in our modern paradigm, the problem, and this is super important to understand, the problem essentially is excess carbohydrate consumption. Now, how can I say that with such confidence? Because the ultimate manifestation of this problem that we are all going towards, unless we have already taken steps to not go towards it, the ultimate manifestation of that problem is type 2 diabetes. And type 2 diabetes is categorized, is classified as an increase in blood sugar levels, fasting blood sugar. If your fasting A1C is above 6 or 6.5 or 7, it depends which country you're in, you have type 2 diabetes, full stop, right? That's it. That's the end of the story, right? There's no nuance there, okay? So the problem we're trying to deal with is excess carbohydrate in the blood, excess glucose in the blood. The way we are dealing with that is looking at those three macronutrients and saying, actually, we should reduce the carbohydrate consumption, correct? So that's correct. And up until here, I think everyone is following me. Everyone likes, everyone agrees. Thank you, whoever's sending the likes on various platforms. Hope you're, keep sending the good vibes. So up until here, everyone agrees with me. The problem then becomes the next step, okay? What do I mean by the next step? What I mean is there are limits to the amount of protein the human body can tolerate. There is something called protein toxicity, rabbit starvation, whatever you want to qualify it. It's very, very hard to do. But if, for example, you're taking pure protein in the form of protein powders, you will not live very long. That's not sustaining food. The maximum, according to all the data that I've read, the maximum percentage of food that we can take in as carbohydrates is somewhere in the neighborhood of, say, 25 to 40%, okay, of our food. Certainly no more than 50%, okay? So that means 50, 60, 70% of our food has to be coming from some combination of fats and carbohydrates. Now, remember how we began this discussion. The whole point of our program, the whole point of healing, the whole methodology we're using is to reduce the carbohydrate load, right? Now, therefore, by definition, this is not controversial, by definition, your intake of fat is going to increase. Now, I personally, at the initial level especially, I don't personally care whether you're getting your fats from sesame oils, or I really would prefer you not get them from processed seed oils for many reasons we can go into. But even at the beginning, to be honest, you probably could. It's not going to be a big deal. At a later phase, we can get rid of them, right? Because the magic that we see is really a bunch of magic sort of kicks in when you're on the lower carb end of the spectrum. And especially as you move closer to very low carb and zero carb, the healing magic we see is just amazing, right? So now the problem that this individual had on my call yesterday is like, okay, but my cholesterol is high. I have been diagnosed with high cholesterol, whatever that means. And I'm concerned about eating so much fat because it won't raise the cholesterol further. My initial answer to that is to say, all things aside, tell me the mechanism whereby fat, saturated fat, whatever you want, increases cholesterol. And if you can write that paper, you will win some kind of prize, because there is no known mechanism whereby increased consumption of fat increases blood cholesterol. It's just not understood, not known. In fact, if you stop eating anything altogether, if you just fast for a couple of days, your cholesterol is going to skyrocket. Your cholesterol is going to go up. So-called LDL is going to go up, right? LDL cholesterol. So LDL cholesterol is not the right term. So here again, we have to get very specific. Cholesterol is needed for life. Cholesterol, in the video that we dropped today on YouTube, go and check it out if you haven't. Cholesterol is still it's in every molecule of your body, every cell of your body. It is in every cell membrane. It is needed for sex hormones. It is needed for steroid hormones. It is needed for vitamin D. It's needed for a lot of things. Okay, cholesterol is not a bad thing. Even the doctors, the lipid heart hypothesis people agree with that much. Where they disagree with me is they say no, LDL is a big deal. The LDL is not cholesterol. LDL is a lipoprotein. That is a protein that is used to transport fats, specifically triglycerides, that has cholesterol in its exterior, and it to bind the cell together. It uses cholesterol, right? So it's LDL, low density lipoprotein. Okay, that is also not an issue in my opinion. They have a different opinion. Anyway, it doesn't really matter. What matters is we need to, when we are increasing our intake of fat, there's no known mechanism whereby that will increase cholesterol. Now it might associate with an increase in cholesterol because you are also decreasing your consumption of things that lower cholesterol. Usually, if you're on my program, we're going away from the plant sterols that mimic cholesterol. We're going towards animal fats. And therefore, those plant sterols artificially lower your LDL level. So the things that are lowering your LDL level, we're taking those out slowly. And so your LDL will come to what I consider to be the natural environment that your body wants, that your liver wants. Your liver is a very intelligent organ. All of these things are controlled by different homeostatic mechanisms. Homeostasis we think of as like a thermostat, right? So if Dr. Dayspring or whoever thinks they know more than your liver, like they gotta show a lot of proof. And frankly, they can't show that much proof that they know more than your liver knows. Okay? So short story, in order to do this, in order to heal, in order to reverse your chances of getting all kinds of chronic diseases from cancer to diabetes and everything else, we need to reduce carbohydrates. In order to do that, just as a matter of first principles, we need to increase fat and, see how you feel. Some people, very rare cases, may have some weird issues that make it very difficult for them to digest fat in the long term. In the short term, there are transition strategies. We can help you with the acidification of the stomach. We can help you, with the production of bile and sort of bile turnover and so on. There are things we can do to improve your ability to digest fat in say 2 to 6 weeks. If after 6 weeks you're still having issues, then there's it's very rare. I've never really heard of it, to be perfectly honest. But there are cases I've come across in the literature that maybe people are having some issues. We can deal with something, right? We can find solutions. But why is that very unlikely to be a problem? Because what I'm recommending, what I'm steering people towards, is an ancestrally appropriate human diet, which is a diet that is based primarily on the meat and associated fat of large animals, especially ruminants. Okay? So that is the first principle upon which we are basing all of our programs. That is the first principle upon which we have healed hundreds of people, maybe more. And not just in my program, probably thousands, probably millions of people are doing this kind of program and finding relief, finding results. Thank you, JMK2921. He says, or he or she says, in 2025, the ADA, the AHA, and the USDA still recommend 60 to 75% of daily calories in the form of carbohydrates. Yeah, this is why we do not listen to those bodies. It's really not. Now, I think one of those, the American Diabetes Association, perhaps, has come out with like a ketogenic option on their page or somewhere. Like if you look through their website, I think you can find it as of this year or last year. I don't remember the details, but yeah, as we know, the regulators are in bed with the people they're supposed to regulate, so it's not super helpful. Thanks everyone for watching. I just want to sort of get this clear. Again, 3 macronutrients. One of them is carbohydrates. That's the one that we're going to try and decrease no matter what you do, whether you work with me or not. It's what we are trying to do, what we kind of have to do if we want to heal, especially. And in order for that to work, you have to increase fat. There's no way around it, right? And if you're scared of that, if you're scared of cholesterol, the problem is then it becomes very hard to heal. Because a lot of the things that are good interventions, even going to the gym and so on, that almost everyone would say is a good intervention, in some people, it's going to raise your cholesterol, right? Even doing a fast, it's going to raise your cholesterol, again, because of the lipid energy model that we talk about. I talk about it a little bit in today's video, but I talk about it more in that podcast with Dave Feldman, which you can also check out from about a year ago. So thanks for watching, and we'll see you next Thursday, if not before.